Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry, holding your space.
And I'm Nancy Jean in my garden.
Yeah, in your garden, we both are today.
Yes, I love the background.
Yeah, I do too. It's so pretty. I needed that today. I needed some sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
So, hi everybody here. Everybody's saying we're so glad you feel better, Nancy Jean.
I do. I'm working on it. It's kind of a hour to hour thing at times, but I fought off the worst of it. The doctor says that I'm healing, so and nothing permanently stuck in my lungs, which is the good news.
Good. Yeah, yeah. I saw you on with Candy, and I thought, oh, go to
That was the
bed.
last day I did anything. Let me tell you. Shortly after that, I crawled into a bed and said, "I'm gone."
Yeah, yeah. At least you went on with the healer. So
I
there was
know.
that.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, yeah. Well, say hi to a few people. Hey, Linda, how are you doing? Ness is here. We got your question, Ness, and Stella.
Hmm.
We have your question too. Lottie B, hey. Hey, Candy, how are you? Rossi, well, it's not good morning, it's good afternoon. And Miriam, hi, Miriam. So, and Julie's here. Hey, Julie and Sal.
Hmm.
Sandy Miller, Liz in Awe. Hi, Liz. And Millie just popped in. Good deal.
Good.
Yeah.
See everybody's up and around on this Monday. I forgot about this. I just dropped out of the world a week ago, and thank God Terry takes good notes because we'd be all looking at a screen without a reader.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about Nancy Jean sent me this amazing video the other day about plants and
Yes.
how they communicate with one another and how they help each other.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is they've known for a long time. There's a whole university down in Australia which has it's following plants. It's following a whole woods, and it figured out that the trees were talking to each other through their roots. And something could happen on one part of the forest and the other part of the forest would know it and stuff. But anyway, I've always been kind of wondering, how do these guys know this? I mean, obviously the tree doesn't sit down and have a cup of tea with them and say, "Oh, by the way, you know." Um, and what they found is they found that through phosphorescence, if you get the right light and the right lens and pictures and cameras to pick it up, you could see the trees touching each other. And a plant that was in distress would touch the leaf of the next tree, and the same set of phosphorescent images would go through the leaf to the next leaf. It's just fascinating. And this all has to do with the frequencies that connect all of us to everywhere. And so it's really an interesting study. And there's a little guy who he used to do mostly cosmology. His name's Anton Petov, and he's originally from the Ukraine, and he lives in Australia, and he talks 90 miles an hour. And I grew up in Chicago where we talk fast. This guy talks fast. And so he's got that mix of accents, and then he's talking really fast. So I always have to have the subtitles on. I can't, the closed captioning.
Yeah.
But he's been doing a lot about how different elements and different essences in the universe talk to each other. And so this is another fun way. And they call in, um, they'll some plants grow close together, and one plant will get invaded by a bug, and the plant next to it has metabolically has the poison that kills it, and all of a sudden all that raises up in the plant. It's really fascinating.
It really is. Yeah. They'll also call in herbivores. They'll call in like uh, little bugs that'll come in,
Mm-hmm.
or the bugs will attack the plant rather, and then they'll call in birds or somebody that will eat
Mm-hmm.
the caterpillars or the beetles. And I thought that was just so
Yeah,
interesting.
did you see the one about the ants that protect this tree that termites really like to eat? And what the ants do is they hang at the edge of the tree, and when the wrong kind of termite comes up, it kidnaps the termite, it takes it off, and it chews off its head.
Oh my Word. No, I didn't.
And then they showed a picture of the termite mushing up, and the ants can't go back. This is a suicide mission. They also die.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really hardcore protection.
Yeah. Teresa says, and that's why food forests are better than monoculture. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because and it screws the regular plants up. That's why they get metabolically screwed up, because they get raised to be certain ways.
Yeah. I let my ants go wild now. I mean, if they want to do a little hill or something in my yard, it's like free aeration or whatever it's called. Because I looked it up and I thought, well, what are they doing? And I plant clover, but and I don't spray. And my yard guy, I have somebody that comes in to mow for me because it's like 105 in the summer here, no problem. And he said my yard was the best one this year. Like everybody that sprays, dead, completely dead.
Well, you obviously don't have fire ants. If you had fire ants,
No.
you'd be out there with, trust me, if you've ever been bitten by even one of those little suckers.
Yeah.
We have to protect ourselves too.
Wow. Yeah. We had, so this is a funny story if it doesn't happen to you or your child. Anyway, we were in Maine and my late husband put a suitcase down on a thing of fire ants and then put it in the back of the car. And we were all on a ferry going off an island to the mainland. And my daughter is sitting there and fire ants are getting her. And it was just like, oh, you've never seen so many hands going this way and that and legs. And yeah, we were just fighting them off.
Oh, they're vicious.
They were horrible.
They can
my God.
They can kill a person.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, there weren't that many that came in, but there were enough that we were just running everywhere. Amanda says, oh, the wonders of nature, never-ending creature, symbiotic existence. Yeah.
And if you want to see some really fun things that protect us, there's a movie and it's on Netflix. You can see it, Fungi.
Oh.
It's all about that whole world, because fungus is not a plant and it's not an animal. It's the species in between.
Is that what mycelium is? Okay.
Yeah.
I never
and
knew that.
They follow all the ins and outs of all the, and of course the whole world, if we didn't have fungi making things rot and making things fall back into the earth, we'd just be a whole planet full of stuff that goes nowhere. And there's some really interesting fungus that eats plastic.
Wow.
And there's one that eats leftovers of oil products. I mean, there's really, really some incredible, it's an incredible movie. And the guy he'll tell you the story, but he was a very bad stutterer and he never really would look anyone in the eye. And he was way behind in school and stuff. And he could read. And a friend gave him a book about concentrating your energy at a specific point in time and fixing things. And of course, this kid, it was in Ohio, so he was in a very religious community, and a friend of his took the book home because he thought it was interesting too, and his father found it, and his father tore the book up and said that was Satan's work, what the book was saying. So anyway, he'll tell you the story after that, but he gets to a point in his life where he has to face a natural storm, and because of the things he learned in that book, he uses it. And when he came out of the storm, he didn't stutter and he could read. And then he ended up studying fungus. He's the leading fungus person.
Wow.
Really, really fascinating stuff.
Wow.
And speaking about a person in a problematic, Terry and I wander a bit. I wander with Terry, but I got a message from a reader who, a reader to a person who follows my channel, and she's going through a bit of a bit. So I'm going to do a quick reading for her. You know, when I post things for my shows, I normally say, If you have something going on, you can put a comment in. We'll see if we can fit it in. And this time I had no questions from Constance Campbell. She just loved the grid that I had in the photograph. And actually, when I looked at it again, I thought I'd put a complete grid. That's actually a rough draft of a grid. I'm glad you liked it. It is a pretty picture. I do like that. And our Reebok wanted to know if it was personal or current events questions. And very much what we're talking about is the current events in our personal lives. We're not talking about all that other stuff. And so this leads us to Lakotis. And Lakotis is a Leo. Her birthday's 8/12. She's been depressed lately. Is there any chance I'd give her old soul a reading?
Oh,
So
bless her.
I'm going to give a reading for what part of your bootstraps do you need to find to get your old soul out of feeling a little depressed? And then I'll have a comment on depression, because I think there's a very honest reason we're all very depressed right now. I mean, for those of us who are hip with that, okay.
I do too. And I'm seeing it so often right now and feeling it sometimes.
Okay, Lakotis, it's saying that your problem is you've expected the world to turn out a certain way. You've expected a certain order that you were raised with. Excuse my cough.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is it's thrown you for a complete loop. And so things you thought you had control of, you didn't. And it's very badly upset your emotions. And so you can't get yourself back on a balanced track. That's the two of coins right there. What I see is this will be gone. I don't think you're going to feel well till spring in a way, but it's kind of a good place for you to go and evaluate. Is this even real? Is what you'd expected all this time even real? You know now that your control over it isn't. And you can turn tarot cards. What I like about tarot is you can turn them. You can approach it with a brighter light and a more soulful look at what's going on around you, and seeing, and then if you can do this, and if you can decide to look for the new values that are being offered to you and not see them as threats, but see them as real values, you'll be able to turn around this Two of Pentacles and make a new go of it. So I hope that helps. And did you pull a card?
Yeah, I did. I pulled, let me grab them. So I pulled support. So recognizing that there are many people around you and many people going through the same thing. Divine timing. Mm-hmm. So redirecting what you're doing. This angel is holding an arrow. So redirecting where you're going and finding your blessings. Wholeness comes back. Mm-hmm. So Lord Ganesh with wholeness and insight. So, and I love that that's with the blue light. And then the wholeness comes back when you abide in your heart.
Right.
With clarity.
Yeah, I think you're kind of going through it. A lot of us are going through it. It's like, how can this possibly be taking this long? Whatever it is that you're expecting in your life. Everything this year since I fell down and went boom and hurt my knees, everything in my life I felt like I was walking through molasses.
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't get a hold of it. And a lot of it was when I finally sat down one day and just cried and said, yeah, my knees really hurt. And that's a real bastard thing to have happened, because I got them back, and then they went away again. So it also is a lesson to me to say, okay, you're vulnerable. And I don't like being vulnerable. I mean, that's why I stay home, and that's why I don't go out and get the flu, which I don't even know where the hell I got it, because I never go anywhere, but it came in under the doorway somehow. So, yeah, when she looked at me, I thought she was going to say, you have a bad cold. She goes, no, you've got upper bronchial flu.
Wow.
So, yeah, I had to submit to a lot of, and I keep saying I'm so healthy, but I'm not. I mean, I know I'm re-altering my diet back to where it was happier. I tried this prepared meal thing because it was a very set kind of calories and the food was great. And it's made with the right stuff. It's not made with poisons and things, but it was just, my body says no. It wants to go back to almost being a carnivore. So,
Yeah.
which will make all people who are not or are vegetarians go, what's wrong with you?
Right. I know I'm a carnivore too. Hi, Dr.
Mhm.
Gal. So I'm seeing this again and again in my family and people in the tribe, and
Mhm.
we're kind of just like, and in myself too.
Mhm.
That, and I call those heavy days, King Kong days.
Mhm.
Like when you get out of the pool or the hot tub or the bathtub, and you feel like you weigh, 3,000 pounds. You're just kind of
Mhm.
trudging through life. I think what helps a lot is to recognize what we're going through and to say, okay, this is what this feels like. There's pain here. What is it?
Mhm.
And allowing yourself to gently to go to bed like you did.
Mhm.
Take care of yourself. Recognize what you need to eat, but abide in your body, in your heart space,
Mhm.
and be gentle with yourself because we think that we're empaths and we're not above it, but we're beyond it, perhaps going through that again.
Trust
So
me, I'm not beyond anything at this point.
ditto.
But and in your case, I really see that you have the ability to pull it around you. But the other thing is you have to go through and acknowledge
Yeah.
that something's wrong, something's a little out of tune. And what's touched me, Terry and I were talking about this. I got a note from this lady, try 5 of my intuitive free classes. Just they're like little 10-minute things. And her first one is a method I know, which is um, what are you letting touch your body energies? And this has to do with the leaves too. You know, when you put your hands almost together, but not quite, you'll feel something between them. And it'll either be heat or cold or vibrations or waves of energy. I created right before COVID uh, a thing for a guy who ran a corporation, and he wanted me to teach his leadership group something about woo. Not woo woo. He didn't expect them to go all the way to that. Just enough woo. And I was teaching him, like I had taught him how to breathe to bring himself from being uh, reactive to being responsive, which is, you know, we'll do that one instead of the other thing. You pull in a breath, you hold it for 6, and then you breathe out for 8. And you do that 6 times. And when you're done with that, you'll find out your brain's been rewired. And if they hook you up to a machine, they can actually watch your brain go from the reactive mode, which is there are times we need to be reactive. If you're driving down Central Expressway in Dallas, please do not do this. You don't want to be responsive. You want to be reactive. You want to be as fast as you can. But I I was reading cards at a table in the wine place, and this young woman lawyer had come up, and I'd read her cards because women always get the cards read first. She was there with a bunch of guys from the law office, and this one guy came up and he goes, "Hey, you were really accurate about her." And I said, "Yeah." So he and I got to talking, and it ended up I knew of his boss. He's not like a friend of mine, but
Mhm.
he was a political contributor, and he's one of those political contributors that contributes to both sides because he doesn't care really who wins. He just wants to have an in with the one that has been there. And our boss was somewhat of a specific bastard. So, and I didn't say that to him. And I said, well, it's a good firm. And he said, I really don't like it there. And then he broke down and he told me they would go into meetings and he would be prepared with his notes for what was coming up in the big case. It was one of those law firms that you see with like 10 people at the table kind of things. And he'd have all his stuff together. And he said, and then he could just feel his boss going around the room with his eyes. And the second they locked eyes, it's like his brain emptied. And I said, well, you can control that. And he said, I'm not sure. He said, this guy has got, I said, no, next time you're going to be called into a meeting with him, I want you to stop at the restroom. on the way to the meeting and do this breathing exercise. And when you walk out, things are going to even look different. So I took him through it at the table and I had him close his eyes. He did. I said, now open your eyes. And he said, it seems brighter in here. Well, it's true. You've become responsive. So you're more aware of the world around you.
Yeah.
So I thought, I've taught a young man what he ought to do. He probably won't do it, but that's okay. And a couple months later, he showed up on his own without the crowd along with him. And he said, it works. I said, what happened? And he said they were getting called into the kind of meeting he absolutely dreaded. And he knew he'd be totally emotionally beaten up in. And he went down to the meeting and on the way stopped in the restroom. He did the breathing and he thought, this is so stupid. But he went into the meeting and he said the room atmosphere felt different for him. So he thought, well, maybe this is doing something. And when the meeting started, the guy was going around the table and he looked at him and he knew he was different. He knew he didn't have his victim. So he went on around the table and found the next poor bastard who didn't know how to breathe. And he said, it worked. And I said, well, how do you feel? And he said, I'm really happy because I've used it in a couple of other situations and it really works. And I said, yeah, it really does work. I said, there's a lot of things we know how to do that you don't know how to do that do work. And I said, so what are you going to do now? And he was already looking for a new law firm to go to.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because he knew he wasn't chained to the fear of next place I go to, it'll be worse. He's going to walk in empowered. So there's a lot of tricks, and I call them tricks, and they virtually are. They're just little things you can do to realign your energy and your being. And when we were talking about getting your energy, if you understand that there's a rim around your whole body, that's where the energy comes in. And if you don't learn how to sense when things are crossing into you, especially you guys who are real empaths. Apparently I'm tough as nails because I'm not that empathic, but for people who are really empaths, they get hurt so easily or they get invaded so fast because your mind is, I need to learn about the world. Well, I want to learn about the world, but I'll tell you, I'm not letting them come in and hurt me.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is learn when things are crossing the boundary, ground yourself to the earth, figure out what's coming towards you, even if it's not a clear image, but just understand something's coming towards you. Decide, is it something I should let in, or do I have the power within myself to say, take off, go away? And if you really want to take care of yourself, Terry and I are both talking about this, something both of us kind of do every day. I create an egg around myself every day. And I figure it's like this big, sort of like, not to be sacrilegious, but sort of like the things that show up around Mary that are all glowing out, keeping things.
Yeah.
And, right. And I have the way I envision it is if you're on the outside, you only get to look in if I let the mirror down. Otherwise, the mirror is up there and you're not getting in. And that's how I protect myself.
Yeah. That's a great way to do it. I love that. So, and I use my angels behind me. And we've got a guy, Reverend Saul, he's a shaman, and he says to call in 33 trillion angels. So sometimes we do that in the morning. I also grow my heart chakra.
Right.
75 feet out the front in the morning and 75 feet out the back. And that seems to really keep me sturdy and able to kind of respond to the energy, what I feel when it comes in, and reacting with curiosity instead of fear is huge, because we do send out those hormones, just like, or pheromones, whatever they're called, just like the plants do. And they make sense for sure when we're feeling like that. But, a lot of these breathing techniques are Vedic and they're thousands of years old.
Oh, yeah.
That people have been doing it. Yeah.
If you look at the Hindu temples, they're always surrounded by sort of circles of lights and things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unless you're totally in love with ancient aliens, it's not always because they were in a spaceship.
But they could have been. Who knows?
Well, then,
Yeah. Yeah.
or make your own spaceship and glide around this world in one.
Yeah, that works too, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever image you can hold on to, and that makes you delighted. You know, if
Yeah.
being inside a giant egg terrifies you because you get claustrophobic, think of it in another way.
Yeah, walk with your wall of angels. It does make you feel taller when you know that you're supported and you're, you know,
Hmm.
protected. I think Dr. Gale's here, so she may have already left, but hi, Dr. Gale.
She's
So
probably in. I think she was. I
just,
think she told me she had plans for the day, but she'd be home in the afternoon. So.
oh, well, good, good. So, yeah, so doing that protection every day and keeping those boundaries up too. I think boundaries are a big deal too.
Hmm.
Like if you have a friend, oh yay, she's here. Hey, Dr. Gal. So, if you have a friend or someone in your family that is always stirring the pot, like
Hmm.
always giving you unsought after advice, perhaps, and maybe they do have really good advice, but if you get a lot of advice, it's like unless you've asked for it, it's not always received in a good
Those
way.
aren't the ones I dislike. The ones I dislike, and I don't have many old family members I talk to anymore. But I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
we didn't have much to say to each other before, so we say even less now. Um, but the person who's got to come and make sure someone did something wrong.
yeah.
Those guys always stirring the pot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think I don't know. For me, that was a thing that I had to grow older with, and to
Hmm.
figure out like, "Oh, I recognize you. You're the person that does that. I'm
Hmm.
out of here." And it took me shorter and shorter time each time, but I was kinda old before I finally got into it. Amanda asks, "How do you visualize boundaries, Terry and Jean? Anybody?"
Well, I got to figure out if something I realize I need a boundary. I have to figure out what I'm pushing out and just get it away from me and just put it outside your own energetic body. They fade. The energies that want to invade you fade if they can't get in.
Yeah.
You, it's like not saying certain people's names because it's the old Egyptian adage: as long as their name is said, they live.
Mhm.
So if you learn to not say their name, not write their name, not think about their name, not even think about all of the nasty sidewards way we've thought to describe someone, the less you think about them, the less power they have.
Yeah, and that's so true, and that's it, feeling it, right? Because
Hmm.
you can feel it. You can feel the energy come in. You can feel what it feels like, and abiding in your heart space. Like, is that something that I like? Is that something that I want here? And then looking at, well, why don't I want it here? With
Hmm.
curiosity is huge again, and not fear, and just saying, okay, I'm not gonna allow that, and that's and then saying, "Oh, interesting that they would say something like that." So
Hmm.
either loving them where they're at or just saying, "Okay, I'm done. I'm gone."
Well, one of the first lessons I learned in manifestation was when I was young and silly and thought I could actually work in the corporate world. I worked for a major corporation, and they're just a whole lot of it, honest to God, when I think about it now, I think about walking through a swamp with snakes in the water. But there are a lot of people there, and so I was talking to the woman who was teaching me astrology at the time, and she said, "The worse they are to you, the higher you send the blessings to heaven for them."
Ooh.
And there was a guy who really he hated the fact that I had a master's in business and he didn't. He hated the fact that I knew what went on in computers and he didn't. And he was terrified I'd get close enough to our boss that the boss would finally become impressed with this. That never happened because the boss knew less about computers than this guy. But anyway, every time he would come near my office and try to slither in with his thought of the day, I would just blast him with the best gold light I had and say, thank God the universe created you so that I could understand this part of humanity, and blessings to you. And it took about a week, and he never came in my office anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
He decided this was not what he expected to run into.
Yeah. When you change how you react, it really does change that attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it's no fun. Okay. Are we ready to answer a few questions?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ness has a great question. I'm sure a lot of people are talking about this today. Can you both read on Prince Charles before you start today or at some point today? And in the news, he is diagnosed with cancer. It feels serious.
Okay. Prince Charles's health. I think the stories are true. He's not as close to death as many might think. They're going to do everything they can to help him. It's not good news. But in a way, he's expected it. He never expected to rule for a long time. And there's a certain amount of justice in what's coming for him. Let's see this. They're keeping it at bay. Yeah, he's coming to accept it himself. I don't expect them to announce to us what's wrong with him. His grandfather, who died of lung cancer, no one knew he was dying of lung cancer till he was dead. But does tend to run in their family to some extent too. So it's not anything he did to himself. It's not like his grandfather who smoked himself to death. Queen Elizabeth's father.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did smoke all the time, didn't he?
Yeah, and the depression that came over him when he became king, because he didn't want to be king.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to be prince, but he ended up being both. Elizabeth always blamed her uncle, the one that abdicated for Prince Edward, for her father's death.
Yeah. That was a weird time to be alive. In a weird lifetime. So I get surrender and release. So I feel like what he's gonna release is gonna be the title king. Yeah. It's just natural causes. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that he did, like you were saying. I do think that this is going to manifest something for him, and it's going to be forgiveness. So, I mean, he still kind of has that dark shadow over his head of what happened with Diana. And I feel like this is going to be kind of a forgiveness of the country about all of that, and a reckoning there. And then dreams. I think I see him in bed. I don't see him dying. I just see him resting.
So he's not going to be ruling.
No, he's not going to be ruling. I think I never saw him ruling for long. Did you?
No.
Yeah. 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 Oh, Willow says Charles has lost his desire to fight his illness. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I think he held on so long to get where he got, and it might not be all it's cracked up to be.
That's true.
I don't know that I would want it.
Well, your life in a fishbowl.
Yeah. Yeah. Volpe. Hey, Nancy Jean, if there is time, question. I was walking through my house when I suddenly felt time physically slow. What was that?
That's the shifting we're going through. You're going to feel time do a lot of stuff. It's going to seem like you're sitting there and you're going, that was 4 hours. And then there's another day when you're sitting there. And I was doing this the other day, and when time slows down for me, my right ear sort of stops working and I can't hear as well. And so I was watching some stupid how we fixed our house up and made it all beautiful show. I mean, it's not stupid. I'm glad the people did it. It was just something to fill my time. I used to run a house repair business, so I kind of enjoy watching them do that stuff.
Ooh.
And I thought, we got to be done with this. I mean, and I knew they were doing a kitchen, a bathroom, and another bunch of little rooms connected in between. And I was like, boy, this must all be done. They're going to have to really hurry here at the end. And it had only been 20 minutes that I was into the show, and I thought it was over. So I understand your feeling. What you do is you just flow with the time you have.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been getting that too. And I'll be like pulled up to a stoplight or something. And I'll be like going through one of those things, a deja vu, where you're like, well, I know I've done this before. And I did it like 2 days ago, and I was here, and I'm replaying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything's replaying again. So, and it's, we're just walking through that time shift and the energy shift. The other thing that I'm getting is not just the ringing in the ears, but if you pull on your ear, you can get, when it's ringing, you can get different frequencies, or I can now. Have you tried that?
Yes.
I never tried that before.
Well, when I was a little kid, I had horrible ear infections to the point that for 1 week, I was literally deaf on one half of my head. I mean,
wow.
Really without hearing. And they were like, is it going to come back? And there's hearing loss in my family, and mine all came back. But this cold has sort of knocked out the right side of my body. Now I'm right-handed. That's my dominant hand. So what that's telling me is I was doing too much and I wasn't receiving in what I wanted to. And I need to receive in so much now that I can't do like I was.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a time to slow down, because we get so hard on ourselves if we can't get things done and get everything accomplished. And it's like, just abide, just give yourself gentleness. You may have been sitting at your desk for 4 hours, putting out the same email. And all of a sudden when you look up, but you're okay. That's cool. Everybody's in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also causing some depression, right?
Right.
I think we have somebody that's asked about that. Okay. Let's see. Stella. Hi, Stella. What a cute picture. I've had out of the body experiences in my life. What does that mean? Is it real?
Well, if your mind's recording it, yeah, it's real. And I don't know where you went to or what you learned from being there. So that's for you to answer. And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just some part of your life you need to maybe look at again. Or I found some out-of-body experiences for me were sort of trailers for the next coming movie.
They are, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You get there and you've been there before, or else you're in a dream, and it's a dream that you always go back to the same house with these same people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they're part of your family or somehow or another.
Mm-hmm.
So the out of a body experiences in your life. And so I've had a couple of different kinds, like one kind where you jump out of your body or you fly, astral projection, and you're just going around and with awareness. And the other kind is in my dreams when I'm gone and like on a spaceship or galactically or in a different space.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's just different dimensions again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. So anyway.
It can be scary though, because you think I'm supposed to be here and I am here and I want to be there. I want to be here.
So I always feel like we have a cord that attaches us to the earth. And that's a good point about grounding every day that you made earlier, that we should definitely ground every day, because I do feel like you can go as far as you want to with meditation or whatever you're doing, or as far as you feel the need to, and experiment. And then when you're coming back, you automatically come back to this body. You have a cord attaching you. So, yeah. What were you saying, Stella? Let's see. I thought I saw Stella answer that.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Now, we will go back. Okay, Sandy. Something big is coming. What are you all feeling?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be right underneath the solar eclipse that's hitting in April. And there's only a couple places near me where it'll be 30 or 40 seconds longer than where it will be here. And the last solar eclipse I watched, I was to the side, and it wasn't even a complete one. That was the Ring of Fire. I never quite got to the Ring of Fire part. But yeah, I know that one's coming. And the feelings I had after that were quite different. So I mean, I know there's some things out there that are happening. And I think some of that, I'm downloading things I don't even know how to deal with yet, but I'll know it when they get here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, I feel like something's big happening too. And sometimes we'll, like you wake up, and I'm not a big news person. Like I'll go on Google or NPR and I'll read the titles or whatever. And I'll go into some of it, pretty heavy duty, but I can easily go down a wormhole, and I don't trust myself sometimes. So, but that's something big. I mean, I can feel it when that happens. And for me, Sandy, what helps a lot is journaling and seeing things. But do you do any read the future things where you do like the month ahead or the year ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey and I do every Friday. We both release. I do the garden and he does the cards. So if you don't understand the garden, it's kind of interesting to see what we get. And we got that the first week in February was kind of fuzzy, but for the whole end of February, we got just incredible things. And I wish I was more conscious of what we all said, because I think it would have made me feel better. But it's going to there's some profound changes that are coming, and we all need to be part of positive, profound change, because there's certainly more than enough negativity to go around.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandy says there's an earthquake that was 10 miles away, 5.1. Wow.
Are you in Oklahoma, Sandy? I know there was one over the weekend.
Yeah. I think that wasn't that big though, was it, Sandy?
No, it was 5.1.
Oh, it was 5.1? Okay.
Yeah, they quit fracking all around Dallas because they were going to bring the city down.
Yeah.
Literally, they were breaking the dikes around the Trinity River. And if the Trinity River overflows, we're in like a world of hurt, and all of downtown would be gone. And I lived in a high rise, and they were, 45. Yeah. So we quit the fracking up here in North Texas. And it's very real. And I never lived where there were earthquakes. I always lived in very nice, solid places. And the first Saturday that the first one hit, it was in the evening, and I was sitting in my cushy recliner chair, and when you're in a car and you go up over a curb and you kind of come down again, that's what it felt like. And I went, what the hell was that? Because and I only lived on the third floor of the high rise. People were on the 16th floor, were having a card game, and the whole card game just flew off the table.
Wow, man.
And those weren't strong. Those were like 4-point somethings and 5-point somethings. And then they came in and they said, you can't do this anymore. You got to quit fracking around Old Texas Stadium. And they stopped. They went away. I had a friend who came home and found his driveway was a foot lower than the road.
Whoa.
I mean,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus they're pumping in wastewater, aren't they? Like
They're pumping
municipal
in
water and
potable water we can
yeah.
never reclaim again because the crap they're putting in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not good. Um, yeah, I've been feeling like we're gonna have a lot of earthquakes and volcanic activity this year.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, there'll be a lot of that coming in.
When Jupiter and Uranus get conjunct in May in Taurus, Taurus is the Earth, the grounding, the things that are supposed to be stable. You've got Jupiter, which expands everything, and you've got Uranus, which is, I always call it the maniac planet, but that's not fair to the poor planet. But so it's Katie barred the door.
Yeah. And I do feel like we've done a lot of work on the planet. Like there's a lot of light
Mhm.
workers here. And I don't think that there are the original, like Edgar Casey and Nostradamus talked about kind of end of the world type stuff. I don't think that that's happening anymore. I think we're on a different dimension, a different timeline now. And we'll still have some changes on the planet, but I don't feel like it's going to be, I don't feel like California is falling off or anything like that.
Oh yeah, California was supposed to fall off when I was in college.
Right?
And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a geology major. He said, "We realize if California falls off, Vietnam will sink, and so will the Middle East, and that gets rid of two real problem spots." And I'm like, "Think of those poor people in California. Many wouldn't be with us. That's not nice."
Yeah. 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 There will be a lot of magma moving around with the tectonic plates moving, Eliza.
I wouldn't want to live in Iceland right now.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I loved Edgar Casey too. I tried his trick with putting your books underneath your pillow.
Hmm.
And when you go to school the next day, you'd know everything, but it didn't work.
That's the thing that worked for me. I never read books. I didn't realize you had to read the books till I went to college.
Are you kidding me? Dang, I wish I could have done that. I really wanted to. I just want to backdrop on Stella's question. She said when she was traveling, she was in a foreign place. So I would call that astral travel, wouldn't you?
I'd call it astral travel, or it could be past life memories that are breaking through big time. And you may need to look at what's happening in that foreign place right now and see how you and the place you are feels about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard people say that when there are going to be changes on the planet in certain areas, you'll notice a lot of movement in that area, people
Hmm.
moving out and people moving in.
Hmm.
Like they're drawn to be in that experience subconsciously. So
Well, you can keep earthquakes. I don't want those.
yeah, I'm not going there either. Sonia, may I get a message from my elementals for this month? Are they liking my crystals in my place? And would they like more? Please and thank you. Oh, this is a good question for Nancy Jean.
Okay. You're growing into a larger section of the elementals. In other words, if you've played with fairies, brownies, and the little sprightly critters, you're going to get more of the heavier energy of, and I know people don't ever think it's heavy, but unicorns. And right now, the dragons are moving. And what I've been told is that's part of the earthquake thing is the dragons are moving. And when the dragons move in, you can't ignore them. But anything you do to reach out to them, look into the crystals. If you have some that you can actually see in, if you look into the crystals, you'll be able to see the faces or the forms of some of the elementals that are surrounding you.
Ooh, I didn't know that. I love that. Yeah, Willow's a dragon person. So I did a meditation the other day, and I had a new guide come in, and he's a horse, and he has wings.
That's a
And
Pegasus.
yeah, yeah, it's Pegasus, and I could fly him, and he's white. And
Hmm.
but the best thing he does is, you know how a horse leans into you and gives you, that's a horse hug when they put their head and they just kind of
Hmm.
push at you a little
Hmm.
bit. It's a magic feeling.
Hmm.
So I was just like, I was so touched. Um, But yeah, I definitely see you getting a lot more elementals in. I've also felt a difference with the ancestors of Gaia, of the earth. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they're coming out of the ground right now
Mm-hmm.
and creating this huge earth energy that's coming out for us.
Mm-hmm. They're all coming up because we need them. And one of the lessons I got when I first went to the elementals is they said you have to explain to them that they just can't expect the beings from on high to come and save the earth. They need to acknowledge those that are part of the earth, because the energy of the elementals is part of our earthly energy. And they are from the earth. They've been here so long. Like some people say, the Lemurians that have been in the middle of, well, I guess Mount Shasta is where I always think they are, but um, all of the energy that are these beings are locked in the crust of this earth, and we need them to come out and help us get through the next times.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, that's another good thing somebody brought up the other day about, when you get a new energy in your place or you feel a new energy around your place,
Mm-hmm.
really to abide, is this really a bad energy or is this an energy that is of the land?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're coming out. So sometimes if you feel something different, really abide in it and feel it. You don't have to banish it. You can ask it to go with Archangel Michael or
Mm-hmm.
Azrael, but really abide in it. And we have one over here, and it's a guardian,
Mm-hmm.
and they're taking care of business.
Yeah, but some of the elementals can be a little bit tricky, because they are of the earth. They have that extra bit of nature we have about doing wicked little things.
Yeah,
And they're forever taking my decks and hiding decks from me, or hiding some notes I took. I swear they can take them out of my computer. I mean, one time we went looking for a deck, and I put it out on my desk because I purposefully wanted to work with it with Scott on Sunday. And I turned around, it was gone. And so my daughter and I searched the whole office, and she said, I don't know where you put it, Mom, but it's not here. The next day, she was walking across my office, and it was sitting right in the middle of the floor where there'd have been no way you could have missed it. It was just sitting there going, hee, hee, hee.
yeah,
You got to understand they have that bit of our nature too.
tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dale. Um, is our spirit animal really just a version of our higher self? Nancy, you once said the animal I'm connected to is a badger. In a dream recently, a badger crossed my path in the woods.
Well, uh, they're not they're not just really a version of your higher self. Your higher self is a compilation of all those sorts of elements and all that kind of energy. The badger just specifically fulfills uh, a need and an understanding you have of your nature. It kind of breaks it down so you can get the picture instead of jumbling it all into one big thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I agree. I think they're both. I mean, because we're all interconnected, right?
Right.
We're all one. So, in a certain respect, yeah, we're all this one. But different aspects of ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you've got the badger. I don't know much about the badger, but it sounds really smart and fast.
I can tell you in a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
They're clever little critters. Ooh. The one deck I didn't put out on my table is the one you want to see. What can I say? Let's see. This is from the book The Wild Elementals. It's a horrible deck. It's really fascinating. And you can, okay, here it is. Badger 32. The Badger. I got him a whole bunch for a period of time. He was always forever showing up. Kind of like him. The badger. He's an earth animal. He's a storyteller. They can bring out your aggressiveness, single-mindedness, passion, cunning, revenge, perseverance, groundedness, knowledge of the earth's magic and wisdom. When the badger shows up in your life, you are being told that you're on the right walk of your own path and to do it at your own pace. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be and that all you need to do is walk the walk and everything will come through. Stay grounded in the present moment and be confident that whatever you are or wherever you are, that's where you're supposed to be. Badgers create new burrows and typically roam from burrow to burrow, never staying in one place very long. The aggressive nature of the badger is giving you the message that you are well within your rights to get upset with someone for trespassing on your goodwill, for taking advantage of your own heart or the path of your life. So it's a very independent sign.
Yeah. Yeah. I pulled some cards and I pulled solitude
Mm-hmm.
and freedom.
Yeah, you
So,
don't see badgers running around in packs.
yeah.
Not what they do.
Richie asks a good question. Does it have to do with matching the vibration of the specific animal? And that's why that animal may be with us.
Yeah, to some extent. This is I got this when I started working with elementals, and it really has some fascinating images in it. It relates the uh, creatures to the four elements, and then it talks about them. And I found them in reading people and talking to them afterwards about how they felt about uh, the image that they got. They felt very sure that it was very, very accurate to them. I don't think it's, I think it's, you may change some of these roles. And actually, it says that in the Oracle card. You may stay in this role for a while and then switch. But I think a badger's kind of grounded. I think a badger's kind of a badger.
Yeah. I like a badger. Prince Charming's mom says badger is a Wisconsin state animal. Good to know.
Good.
Okay. Time for one more. Dale Jones. Is our spirit animal really just a version of our higher self? Oh, I just asked that, didn't I? Or did we? Yeah, that's
yeah,
the same one.
we answered that one.
Okay. Liz in awe. Lately, I am experiencing beautiful, profound visions or experiences with downloads. Then some nights, I am restless with pain. Should I be doing anything to be more consistently connected? Many changes. And Liz has been not feeling well for a while.
Okay. Okay, there's a couple things. You can take care of your own general health. And one of the things I'd forgotten to kind of do was to take my electrolytes and keep them up. And if you keep them up, that can have a lot to do with pain because the magnesium that you need that's in it helps your body process that without it being painful. And I and I just found that I rested better and I was less restless. I think a lot of the experiences that our bodies are going through right now are taking elements out of us that we need. And we need to be very, very deliberate in trying to keep our body in balance with all of the things that are going to, because we're very complex organisms just being an organism. So this, you can say I spiritually contemplated on this, but if you don't have enough potassium, your heart's not going to beat right.
Yeah. There's all the solar flares and everything too.
Mm-hmm.
It is changing the makeup of our light bodies, our energy bodies. So, and getting all those downloads, Liz, that does take a lot on your body.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. The electrolytes, I never even think about, but I know a lot of people have talked about that. What do you use? The emergency?
No, I use Element, and it's a bit expensive, but I recently found the recipe that their stuff's made from. So I'm going to be able to instead of spending like $40 a month, I can spend $4 So I think I'm going to switch to that method of dealing with it. Um, I know that the second I have anything go wrong with my stomach, I'm grabbing them because that's the first thing that squeaks out of your microbiome is those basic elements that you need
Yeah.
to keep it together.
Yeah. And the microbiome is like a whole show, isn't it?
Oh,
It's
God,
like,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's huge. And blessing your water, Liz. I think that's a big deal. And also making sure that your filter is taking out everything in the water, because water has spirit,
Mhm.
intelligence, consciousness. So it's a big deal. Well, and that's it. 3:32.
Well, that's an hour.
That's an hour. um, yeah. Oh, okay. Willow says, "Oh my God, Nancy, you are so correct. I'm taking and drinking electrolytes now. Most of us are low in magnesium. You
Yeah,
can,
that's the stuff's not in the soil that we used to eat when we were kids. Of course, Adam and Eve started the garden I grew up in, so but really the foods just don't have the elements you need.
yeah,
And you can do magnesium in the outside of your body if you don't like it, or use bath salts if you have a tub. I could get in a tub, I could not get out of a tub, so I would be a shriveled up little thing. Um, and just try the different things.
yeah, yeah,
But know that when your body's out of balance, your left and your right are going to seem like they're not attached to the same center, and that's a big time. And then if it's your active side of your dominant hand, it's what you're doing. If the imbalance is coming from the other side, it's what you're receiving, and that's a good way to see. A key to me for people with the chariot card, if the chariot card's upside down, it means their right and their left side are not balanced, so they can't make their chariot go.
Oh, I like that.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
and if you think about it, you'll see where it is. I had a young woman one time, and this will be my last story, and then y'all can go on with your lives. But I had a young woman who came to my table, and she was going to college, and she was at the wine cellar because her uncle was opening a new vintage of wine or something. And so we got to talking, and she was the sort of person who did everything for everybody. If somebody needed a ride, she was the one who gave them the ride. If someone needed to go somewhere, she did it. Someone needed something looked into, she's the one who did it. She was just that. And her chariot was so screwed up, and it had a couple really bad cards around it. And I said, "Hon, you need to get control of balancing, because you can't go to college and be the person that does everything for everybody on the floor. You're not going to make it out your freshman year." And she said, "Oh, I'm fine. Everybody just likes me because I'm blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, okay. Well, she came back to see me in February, and she was home from break from school. And she said, "Did you see something was going to happen when you did that reading for me?" And I said, "No." And we'd already established that her right side was her dominant side. She fell down the stairs the day after our reading and broke her arm in two places and did something to her ankle that gave it limited mobility. So
Wow.
all of a sudden, the person who was out doing everything for everybody else had to learn how to ask for help herself. And she said, periodically through those months of being at school and having to rely on other people she didn't know terribly well to get things done with her, she said she'd remember what I said. If you have got to learn how to ask for help. She said, by the end of my first semester, I not only learned how to ask for help, but I enjoyed learning from other people about the different way things could be done. And she said, "Did you see me falling when you did that reading?" And I said, "No, but you got a hold of the lesson pretty good." So, and she came back and saw me when she graduated from college.
Aw. Yeah.
So listening to the left and the right side of yourselves is really important, guys.
Yeah. It really is. And listening when spirit tells you to stay home,
Mm-hmm.
rest a little. Yeah. There's a fellow that owns the auto shop that I used to take my cars to
Mm-hmm.
around the corner, and he was go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
a widower. His wife had just passed, and he was doing everything for Eagle Scouts and this and that and that and that. And he kept breaking arms, or a shoulder would be out of place and falling limp on one side. And yeah. So
Yeah.
asking for help is
There's the
important.
easy way and there's the hard way.
Yeah. The universe is going to give you something. So, all right. Well, thanks for being here.
And thank you for inviting me over.
Yeah.
And remembering.
All right. Well, I hope we can do this in another 2 weeks too.
We will. And I'll be all together by then, I think.
Good. Well, this was great. This is a lot of information.
Okay, tomorrow I'll be on at 1 my time, Central Time, with Dorothy Morgan. And don't send me any birth dates or anything. We've already got our little cast of characters, but she's taking a whole bunch of random birth dates of people, all different ages. And we're going to kind of see how the planets are lining up differently for them.
Wow. That's going to be fun. Yeah. I think I have Marina tomorrow and Susan Lynn. So yeah. And I don't know what time it's which. So I won't tell you. All right, everybody.
The announcement. She'll let you know.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Later.